Very good evening, everyone. My name is Gulshan Memoria. I'm the CEO and the founder of Inspiredvalley. It's a daily-based training company which provide training services to educators, corporates, and universities. So this is one of our initiative, Inspired Valley School, where we connect with the best minds in the education fraternity and discuss some of the prominent topics. So today our topic is how to master the art of communication, that is the supreme skills for educator. And for this to discuss this topic, we have some of the key panelists today. So let me introduce you. First in line we have is Miss Kirti Tandon. She is the principal of St. Xavier's High School, Greater Noida West. Next we have Miss Prathima Patel. She is the principal of Radcliffe Group of Schools, Bangalore. Next we have is Miss Sarita Gomes. She is the principal at Marwari Vidyalaya High School, Mumbai. And next in line we have is Mr. Vikaas Naagru. He is the co-founder and director of Brain Infinity here in Delhi. Next we have is Mr. Paresh Yadav, the co-founder and director of Sarbotek Education Private Limited. I welcome to everyone on this panel to discuss on this topic. So let's not waste our time and let's jump on to our first question with our first panelist, Kirti ma'am. Kirti ma'am, yes. Kirti ma'am, let me ask you the very first question, that why communication is one of the supreme skill for educators? Why we always focus on the communication first?
I feel, communication is something that is actually making the world go round these days. And had we not been in touch with each other, these 2 years, the past 2 years that we've had, would have been really tough. And communication in itself is, if I talk about the schools, it talks about all the LSRWs. And if you kind of look at the stakeholders, so the kind of communication that we have with them, being the principal, of course, the students are there, the teachers are there are the parents, they all have to have, there has to be a cohesive group, a unit, wherein the communication becomes so very important. Because the ideas can only flow down. They are communicated well.
Exactly.
So if the communication is not there, I'm sure it's going to become very difficult. I might have a great idea, or somebody else might have some wonderful ideas. And if they're not filtered down to the others, it will hamper the growth in every aspect. Communication is very simple, simply kind of communicating your point of view and understanding the other's point of view. So it is a two-way process. And that is
Exactly.
why I think it's very important in the teaching learning scenario, in transaction of any kind of curriculum, in dealing with the parents, in dealing with other principals, in dealing with the other educators. So it's imperative that everybody,
So dealing with all
masters
the
the skill.
stakeholders, I believe. I mean, there are multiple
Yes,
stakeholders, and with every
yes,
stakeholder, we have to deal with a very specific kind of a communication style.
that's true. And every time the style varies. That's the
Exactly,
best
exactly.
part. So you cannot have the same thing for everybody. So it has to be different. But then this is where the mastery on the art comes in. It's a skill which has to be developed all across.
Just a follow-up question. I mean, as the world is changing really fast, I mean, a lot of changes are happening on daily basis. So how the educators are coping up with this kind of information? Because the educator's role has been changed drastically from providing just not the information, right? So how
The
they are
time.
coping up with this thing? Because otherwise it becomes very hard for them to, I mean, carry forward with all this information, to provide all this information to the students, parents, and everyone.
Mm. Our life has become a little more easier with the use of internet and the communication channels that have opened. Even the WhatsApp groups of the parents that have been created, I think class-wise. In most schools, most of us have these class groups, and regular, instructions or information is being passed down to the children. So otherwise, also these channels are, I think they've become a part and parcel of our lives now. I think without them, maybe we will have to kind of think again how to.
Exactly.
Otherwise, initially when we were young, there were these registers which were moving all across the school with the information that was being passed on. These days, it is through internet, it's through WhatsApp groups, it's through emails, it's through notes. Of course, registers are still there, but well, the message reaches faster on the other account. So this is how we have to, and to with the parents, I think it's a constant communication line that has to be opened. So it's again, we give them equal access. I mean, we kind of to kind of approach us, as well as we write to them from time to time as to whatever we feel. I mean, I like to kind of communicate with the parents also from time to time. So it is good, and sometimes online meetings used to be held. These days we have meetings in the school. So lots of,
There are a
I
lot
mean,
of
the
things
communication
are
has to
there.
be open and very fair. Yeah.
Sarita ma'am, I would like to have your views on this. I mean, being the principal of a reputed school, I'm sure you also face this kind of challenges in your school. So how the teachers are coping up with this kind of challenges on daily basis, and how this communication part is quite important and it become necessary nowadays.
So, as being a principal of the school, yes, teachers have, due to the time of pandemic also, it was really very difficult. And now, after coming back from this particular time, they have really come up with good communication. No doubt, parents are always. I see the parents; they always look ahead, the school to run according to their way. But then we are the we are the people who they are the customers, and we are the people who really want them to give the best service. The teachers, we train them to convince them and just overcome to the thing. So when we talk about this topic, this particular point, so that is how the leadership in our teachers really matters a lot. This is how I feel being a principal. So yes, it becomes, sometimes it becomes a little tough, but then by the end, we team really work good with the teachers, and as we being a principals of last hierarchy, first it parents to teachers and teachers to principal, then we, so it gets covered very easily.
That's nice.
Then I will tell you, this is, I don't think that this is, the challenges should always taken in a positive way. This is how we work, like we all the principals, so do I. So
That's
teachers always look upon us that what comfort zone we give them to deal with the parents. This is the important thing where we principals really give them the space to, communicate with the parents and how, and then they overcome all these problems.
exactly,
That's
because
all
when
about
Kirti ma'am said that now the technology has made our life easy. I mean, being the trainer myself, when we go to the schools and we share this thing, now there are multiple channels. Educators directly बोलते हैं कि sir, now they are asking
11.
questions at 11 p.m. at night also. They just typing the questions on WhatsApp group, then they want the answer then and there itself, right? So
Correct.
this
No,
has
but
also become a very big challenge for the educators because there's no me time for them. Now that's a separate conversation altogether. Yeah, Kirti ma'am, you wanted to add a
no,
point,
I
please.
just want to add that, when we have our initial orientation, that is the time. Before that, every class teacher sends out a mail to the parents.
Okay.
And in that mail, she introduces herself, and side by side, she also mentions the time frame. She says, okay, the best hour to speak to me is between 4 to 5.
Okay.
And we tell the parents during the orientation that they need to respect the time of the teacher as well. She has to have her me time. And that is what is very important. After all, they also have their families to look after.
So
So
here
there is a
also we
slot
have,
we
yeah.
fix.
So here also we need to have a clear communication with everyone.
Yes,
Correct.
absolutely. So we try to reiterate in the orientations as well and later on as well. We just generally what we tell them is that you can drop a message after that hour. And in case if it's really an emergency, then only make a call. But otherwise, you drop a message. But I guess again, it's a
It
50-50
totally
way
depends
scenario.
upon person to person, I
Yeah,
believe. Parents
some
do
adhere
message.
and some do not adhere.
Exactly.
I agree with Sarita ma'am and you also for that matter that yeah, it is a difficult and a tough scenario now.
Okay, guys, let me introduce one of our panelists. She has just joined it. She is Miss Shilpa Lokhande. She is the principal of Narayana group of schools from Meerut. I welcome to Shilpa ma'am. Can you hear
Hello
us?
everyone. Good evening
Good
everyone.
evening, good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I joined very late. Actually,
No
I was
worries,
out
no worries. You're back. Yeah.
because I'm not feeling well due to cold here.
Prathima ma'am, being the principal of one of the reputed school in Bangalore, I'm sure, I mean, you also face some of the challenges and how the point of view matters, I mean, in Bangalore. Why? I mean, do you also face some of the challenges with the communication?
Yeah, Yeah,
Because
it's
normally
a
what happened,
major
let me share my
challenge
point.
that.
Let me share my point because here in the CBSE or the ICSE schools, if you are good at speaking in English, so that your communication is good, right? But I mean, with Hindi, you have some challenges. So I'm sure the Bangalore school, specifically your school, don't have that kind of challenge, right? Everybody is well versed with this English language. Still, I mean, do you have that kind of a challenge in your school? So that.
Yeah, we do. Like, see, what I firmly believe is like when a student is entrusted to us, it means that the family is entrusting their dreams to us. So
Hmm.
if I have 400 students with me, it is like I have 400 families' dreams with me. So that is the way it has to be looked into. And what is the major challenge is the way the teacher communicates with the parents.
Hmm.
And we being a group of, Radcliffe is a chain of schools. We have around 12 branches pan India, and we're basically, we have around 4 branches in Navi Mumbai. And we even have internal transfers, people from Hyderabad, Kochi, as they move on. And that we are based in Banerghatta Road, that's even bigger challenge because there are IT people
Okay.
around us. And so there is, like, we have a mixed culture, I can say. So parents are from like Kannada background. I have Keralites, North Indians, and it's a mixture as
So you
such.
have mix of
So
people, yeah.
here, communication is a bigger challenge for the teachers because they have to ensure that Kannada being a mandatory language in Karnataka, there are so many parents who don't even understand a line of it. In spite of that, my teachers have to teach Kannada, ensure that students do their homework, they do their revisions at home. That's a bigger challenge as such. But yeah, what my teachers do is they provide a video support.
Hmm.
So especially my Kannada teacher, what they
Okay.
do is whatever they are assigning as homework. So she records a video along with the pronunciation, then how to write that specific letter, and what is that word, how is that word pronounced. With all that, she prepares a video and she sends it to the teachers, so to the parents as a backup support. So, when you say communication as a broader perspective, what I feel is like, the way teachers communicate with parents, with their colleagues, and in the classroom. All the three play equal role in molding the students.
That's
So,
wonderful.
it is like inside the classroom, it is a different scenario, while with the parents and
Of
teachers,
course,
it
yes,
is
with different stakeholders, they have to use a different style of communication,
right.
right? That's wonderful.
So,
That's wonderful, Putin. Vikas sir, I need your point here. Being the only mind trainer in this panel, would love to have your views on this because now, I mean, my question was now the situation is changed, right? The role of a teacher has become more kind of a facilitator, right? It's nothing more than the information given because now, I mean, we have multiple tools. The Google now I'm sure that you guys have used the Chat GPT because day before yesterday I've used that tool and it's mind boggling. Believe me, you just write one question. Everyone, I mean, if you have not checked that tool, do check it out and you will be blown. Your like it will blow your mind. You just write any question and it will give you pinpoint answers. So now I'm just thinking that the role of content writer, the role of the writers has become negligible. So the world is changing really fast, right? The world is changing really fast. So how this part, because we cannot negate entirely the role of an educator, it will always be there, whether it will 2400 also, whether it's 1900 also. So the role of an educator. So Vikasa, can you please share your views on
फर्स्ट
this?
ऑफ ऑल तो मेरे लिए बहुत एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग लाइन है जो अभी प्रतिमा मैम ने बोला, द 400 ड्रीम्स शी इज विद दैट। तो मेरे लिए बहुत ही यूनिक और एक देखिए थॉट प्रोसेस सबके माइंड में होगा, लेकिन जो उसको लेबल किया मैम ने बहुत ब्यूटीफुल किया दैट। आई एम रियली थैंक यू मैम फॉर दैट। ये एक्चुअली इस तरह के सेशन का बेनिफिट यही है कि आपको कुछ नया सुनने को मिलता है और वो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होता है। थैंक यू फॉर दैट, थैंक यू। मुझे ऐसा लगता है सर कम्युनिकेशन का जैसे जैसे हमारा ईरा बढ़ रहा है ना, कम्युनिकेशन की वैल्यू डे बाय डे बढ़ती जा रही है। देखो बहुत सिंपल सी बात है। अगेन मैं लेमन लैंग्वेज में बात करने की कोशिश करूंगा। जब घर में एक पति पत्नी होते हैं, वो जब चिल्ला के अगर बात कर रहे हैं, क्या उनको सुनाई नहीं दे रहा? सुनाई तो दे रहा है, बट अब उनके दिल तक आवाज नहीं जा रही। जैसे ही वो किसी लव बर्ड की अगर बात करो, किसी लव बर्ड की बात करें, वो इशारों इशारों में और शायद टेलीपैथी में बात बात उनके तक पहुंच जाती है. What does it mean? It's a pure communication. When you are having a talk from heart to heart, फिर कुछ नहीं चाहिए, कहीं किसी तरह का कम्युनिकेशन नहीं. ये वही स्कूल्स हैं, ये वही पेरेंट्स हैं. सिंपल सा एक टेक्स्ट मैसेज जब स्कूल करता है ना कि ये आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट का काम किंडरगार्टन के स्कूल में चला गया, तो वहां से 50 तरह के जवाब क्वेश्चन आ जाते हैं, हमें क्या लेके आना होगा, जबकि बहुत क्लियर लिखा हुआ होगा. इट्स ऑल अबाउट हियर, इंटेंट क्या है. मतलब मैं उसको उस कम्युनिकेशन को समझने के लिए आई एम रेडी और नॉट. मुझे लगता है सब इसका प्रॉब्लम सिर्फ इंटेंट का है. लेट मी शेयर वन थिंग विद यू. लाइक जैसे अभी मैम ने बताया कि देयर आर डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज पर्संस इन देयर स्कूल. कन्नड़ भी हैं, हर तरह
different yes. We can't hear you, Vikaas sir.
if my child is learning any new language, it does, what does it means? I think I'm disconnected.
Yes sir.
What does it means? मेरे ब्रेन के वो 4 lobes एक्टिवेट हो रहे हैं जो कभी नहीं हो सकते due to that new language only, due to some few words. ये अगर कम्युनिकेट हो जाए हमारा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो गया. So that is, I think, most important. Intent is most important.
Intent. It's a wonderful point. Anybody would like to share any views, I mean, or anything, so that I can move on to the next question? Just giving 5 more seconds to you guys. Anyone? Okay, let's move on to the next question. And I would like to have views of the entire panel on this. So one views, they can share it. The question is how teachers can master the art of communication. So I would like to have some concrete views on this. Right. So one by one, I'll go to the every panel, and if you want to share 1 or 2 points, but in very precise, right? That'd be fine. So let's go to the very first panelist, Miss Sarita. Yeah, Sarita ma'am, because this was
Once again, you can repeat the question, please.
How teachers can master the art of communication? How teachers can improve it in this era? So I just want to have some views on this. So one view, second view, anyone? Yeah, Sarita ma'am.
So when you talk about the communication in era, the word communication really attracts me more because it is a personality of a human being,
Okay.
which speaks about your communication and your confidence. So the first thing is how you communicate, the way you.
My question was how they can improve. We all understood. I mean, we've already discussed the reason of why. Yeah, we've already understand the why it is important, but now it comes to the how we can improve this thing. Any way, for an example, because normally but people say that okay, that every day you need to at least read 5 pages of a book. Once you read new books, once you read new things, then you will have more ideas. So this is one way.
Definitely, yes. So as we were talking about the technology, media, digital, right? There are many ways. So one way what can be is communication which leads to your language also, the common language, right? So it can be improved. So as we say that students also every day 5 dictionary words, and then you will enhance your words and communication skills. So the same way, yes, even I believe in it's nowadays. First we used to say read books, that is an example you gave, but I believe that even the teachers have so many articles, things to read, to watch on the their YouTube. There are so many things coming up.
Exactly. For an example,
on LinkedIn there are so many pages coming up, the updated repost. So
Exactly.
basically, I being an educator, I normally do this, which I even guide my teachers for the same. So because everyone doesn't loves to read books, all are not book reader person, lovers of
Exactly.
reading. So I feel audiovisual becomes more easier, not only for the kids, even for our educators.
There are wonderful
That's
YouTube
something.
channels. I mean, anyone just invest 10 or 20 minutes and they'll have tons of information which they can deliver to their what's. Okay, yeah, next thing. Thank you, Sarita ma'am, for sharing wonderful point. Yeah, Prathima ma'am, I want to have some, yes, how they can. How they.
I personally believe that a teacher can be a good communicator when she listens. She has to learn to listen to the children first. So when she does that, like, she will also understand. I mean, it can also be that she would get to know many things which she wouldn't have thought of. So that will help the teacher to reflect on her thought process as well. Along with that, she should also have the sense of humor. So if she can add that sense of humor to conversation when she's communicating with the students in class, the bonding increases and the kind of communication that she's having becomes effective. So these are two things I prefer a teacher should be focusing on
This the
out of
things,
many other things.
both things that you have mentioned, humor and this listening skills. I would like to share one my experience with you. Okay, Kirti, ma'am, you wanted to share something? Then
No. You can continue with this example because it is in continuation with what ma'am has just said.
yes,
But I
yes,
can go a
yes.
little further on that after that.
Yeah, this story is very close to me. So just I thought that this is my you can say it's a nice platform and why not share it. So back in 2010, I used to be a civil service aspirant. So when I was studying back then, and 2012 I gave my interview in UPSC. So I had this two beautiful experiences of mine. So before, when you go to the, can say, to the interview, you need to fill a form called DAF, detailed application form, and in that DAF you need to mention every possible thing which supposed to be answered, right, in a very brief information. So I've mentioned listening music was my hobby, right. Listening music was my hobby. So when I go to that interview panel, I was the last person to face that interview, and the chairperson asked me the very first question after having this small introduction. He asked me, okay, Gulshan, listening music is your hobby, right? So what kind of music you listen? I took a pause of 5 seconds and I said, sir, depends upon FM. So back in 2012, so he was laughing like anything. Depends upon FM, how it become? Why is it so? So I said, sir, I don't have a smartphone with me, right? Even I don't have the laptop or the PC with me, right? So I usually listen on my very small phone where I just check it out the FM. So when you are studying from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., right, all the love songs will come. From 12 to 2, all the heartbreaking songs will come, right? From 2 to 4, anything will come, and from 4 to 6, the bhakti songs will come. So it was my life experience and as well as the humor which I added. I got the good marks in that interview. And next question which he asked me, the other panelist asked me, okay, Gulshan, I'm going to give you one statement and you need to explain that statement. And the statement was, speaking is silver while listening is gold. Please explain with the relevant example of your life. So I still remember those two things which you have said. So it's a gold thing, kind of a thing. I mean, where if you are good at listening, definitely you will be very good at speaking. This is my personal example, and I'm sure you also, being the leader of this school, being the leader of the, you can say, your company, you also have this ability or this skill in you. Thank you for listening me, guys. Yeah, anybody would like to share your points? Kirti ma'am, your audio is
Yes.
mute.
Okay.
Please.
So I just wanted to say, one thing is to become anecdotal. If you kind of, relate your own life incidents, just as you've done just now, I think that is more relatable to the children as well. And the other thing is how you connect with them. So your connect with the children makes a lot of they have in you. That is where the listening and the speaking and everything becomes more comfortable. It's the class atmosphere that you create where there is no fear, okay, of being pointed out or being, maybe laughed at. That is where the children start communicating in a much, much more
Exactly.
easy fashion and a more comfortable way. So it's not only, so trust and then basically connect. These are two things that a teacher should develop in her and with her students. And the same applies to with the parents. You see, the parents also have, they are also as flustered or they are also as tense about the future of their children as anybody, as we all are. So, maybe the children are not that much into it, but the parents are really into it. And they also need that kind of support, the scaffolding at times. And that scaffolding only comes when the children and the parents and everybody else, even the staff for that matter, is able to have faith in you, have trust in you, and you have established a good connect with them.
Exactly. So with this connection also, the very first role model for every student is their teacher.
That's
And
right.
if they can relate their life experiences with them, definitely they'll adore you like anything. Anybody? Yeah, anyone would like to? Yeah, Paresh, you have raised. You You've raised your hand. You wanted to add a
Yeah,
point.
yeah, I had to raise my hand, because I just had a point in what I had to say. So, see, basically, communication goes. I'm not audible, first of all.
Paresh, sir, you can switch
Hello?
off your camera. I believe you can switch off your camera so you can save your bandwidth. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the communication goes beyond verbal communication. Basically, I believe there is something called as the body language
Exactly.
of an individual. So somewhere a teacher understanding the body language, because every child might not express himself or herself verbally. So the body language of a child, understanding that body language of a child is going to be a very critical aspect. And maybe somewhere if a teacher starts understanding this body language, maybe a child is not able, is afraid, has not understood. Understanding those facial expressions that the child has not understood, on those verb, the body language stating that, the child is scared about exams and all. So those things is also something which is very critical in today's world of communication. This is one point that I want to make.
Of course, yes, this is verbal. Apart from the verbal thing, there's a lot of comes with a non-verbal aspect, right? So teachers, the students, your colleagues, everyone do observe a lot of things about you. Normally, what happens, like in our workshop also, when we say that, okay, when you don't smile, you don't have that positive attitude or the positive aura around you. So when you are entering into a meeting, or when you are entering into a class and you don't have the smile on your face, it becomes really monotonous for everyone to judge your face, like what is going to happen, right? Isn't it same? Isn't it with you guys also when you entered in your school premises? Whatever has happened yesterday also, still you have to have a smile on your face, right? It does matter because it does communicate a lot of things about you. Why we are more connected with few people, those who have good, you can say positive things, positive atmosphere around them, because they always smile, they always have very energetic attitude around them. If you ask a question, they'll give you 10 responses, right? And sometimes it does happen. Maybe a person who's having 10 degrees, and when you ask a question, they're like, ab batana padega.
And in addition to this, the tone of, for example, somebody says good morning to you, and the tone of good morning that you reply back to that individual. And the tone also matters a lot, in terms of what's the emotion that you're expressing across. Basically makes a lot of difference to the entire communication. So the tone and the body language, these are the two important aspects. And that's what because I do a lot of, a lot of students who go in for interviews, I conduct a lot of sessions for these kids. And,
Yes.
These are the two things that I keep on talking to them in terms of how's your body language going to be there, and how's your facial expression, how's your tone going to be there. These things are very critical for any communication. And I think same equation goes across between a teacher and a student also.
That's wonderful, Paresh. Thank you so much for adding these 2 points. Yeah, Vikas,
Sir,
you
I will
wanted
add some
just
more points. Vikas sir and Kirti ma'am, what they said. Communication. In communication, listening is very important. That they
we've
said.
discussed,
And
yes.
even your body language, along with that, your speech should be clear. It should be concise, I can say, and concrete. Whatever you are saying, it should be correct, concrete, and whatever you convey, that should be clear to the listener, so that your points can be cleared very easily. And even it should be courteous also. Sometimes you should be polite, humble while speaking. That is also important, so that students should not fear to come to you, to approach to you. These
Exactly.
points are also very important, I can say.
And the best part and the best thing is that these all things can be improved easily, because normally what happens when you talk with anyone, they say that, okay, this is my style. No, this is not your style. This is a style that you have acquired over a period of time. So this can be improved if you work upon. Yeah, Vikas sir, you wanted to add your point? So that, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Shilpa ma'am. It's really truly said कि you should be approachable. You should be approachable. मैं थोड़ा एक इंसिडेंट शेयर करना चाहूंगा. When we are talking about the body language and when we are talking about the aura, एक लाइफ मतलब मेरे लिए लाइफ चेंजिंग इवेंट था. आपने थर्ड आई एक्टिवेशन देखा होगा. बहुत सारे बच्चे जो आंखों पट्टी बांध के पढ़ लेते हैं, आपने बहुत जगह देखा हुआ है ना. इसका एक थंब रूल है. इसका ट्रेनर अगर पॉजिटिव नहीं है तो किसी भी कीमत पे कोई रूल काम नहीं करने वाला. किसी तरह कोई म्यूजिक थेरेपी काम नहीं करने वाली. इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट क्या था, एक बार हम किसी हॉल में थे, वहां पर हमारे पास एक स्टूडेंट था, उसकी मदर आके बोलती कि हमारा बच्चा कर नहीं पाता है. मुझे थोड़ा सा बैकग्राउंड पता था मदर का कि क्या करती है। मैंने कहा कंडीशन एक है, ये सबके सामने करेगी, देयर आर मोर देन 100 पीपल्स, सबके सामने। कंडीशन ये है कि आप यहाँ से कम 8 फुट दूर खड़े रहेंगे आप इस अपनी बच्ची से। उसने कहा ठीक है, ओके। तो जैसे ही वो 8 फुट दूर गई, हमने सारी उससे एक्टिविटी करवाई, जितना हम करवा सकते, रीडिंग, कलरिंग, इवन स्केटिंग तक करवाई। शी वाज शॉक्ड कि ये क्या हुआ। मैंने कहा यहाँ डाउट प्लस आपका हाई बीटा लेवल, आपके नेगेटिविटी उस पर इंपैक्ट डालती है। उसका असर ये हुआ कि उनके लिए वो आई ओपनर था। उसके बाद वो उसी चीज की ट्रेनर बनी, क्योंकि उनको उस दिन ही एहसास हुआ कि मेरी बॉडी लैंग्वेज, मेरा ऑरा मेरी बेटी पर कितना इंपैक्ट डाल रहा है। जस्ट वांट टू शेयर दैट। तो ये टीचर्स के लिए भी इंपॉर्टेंट है और ये पेरेंट्स के लिए भी इंपॉर्टेंट है कि अगर वो पॉजिटिव नोट पे नहीं है और अंदर से उतनी एंथुसियाज्म नहीं है, अंदर से उतनी एनर्जी नहीं है, तो काफी पेनफुल हो जाएगा।
So this is a good point. This is a good point, and I believe all the listeners who are listening us, who will listen this webinar, they should focus on these points. These points. Yeah, Prathima ma'am, you want to share your point?
Yeah, I just wanted to add 2 more points here. Like,
sure, please.
Now that like era is like driven by technology, and over this, I mean, thanks to pandemic, that we all have become more tech savvy now. So keeping that in mind, I think we also should make an effort to keep ourselves upgraded about the current development in the technology, such that we don't make our children feel that we are outdated versions. So when they feel that they know more than us, that is when we lose that a proper equation there. That doesn't happen. Instead, it will be like we will be giving them an upper hand. So if teachers can make an effort to upgrade our own selves to ensure that we fit into the same generation, it's not like we're having a generation gap there. We have to step into their shoes and understand what is that they are so fond of, and if we can teach them through that, then I think we become better teachers. Apart
That's
from
a
that,
wonderful.
yeah,
That's a wonderful
I also
point.
wanted to add one more point here. Like, as teachers, we should be open for feedback. No matter they are our students, but they can even teach us. So, like Sir was
This is a
talking
very strong
about
point.
body language.
These are very strong
So,
points. When you say the feedback, sometimes it becomes very hard for anyone. I mean, per se, I'm talking about, because when you talk about yourself, okay, you are open for the feedback, but if you will give feedback to anyone, it becomes very hard for them. I mean, whether they want to take it or not. And
right.
normally people, 90% people, they don't take it in a positive way.
Yes.
Yeah, Sarita ma'am, you have raised your hand,
No,
please.
but I think, yeah.
So yeah,
So,
I want okay. I wanted to add on, as Pratima ma'am said, that feedback is very important. Yes. So for the teachers, for the educators, with the kids, the connect. So what we basically do in the school is 10 minutes in the last period, be with the kids in the class, listen to them, and then whatever they talk, you need to have a feedback from them, which really has enhanced my kids, as I have kept one-to-one communication for my kids in my Marwari Vidyalaya high school.
Okay,
So this is what I wanted to tell you.
that's a wonderful thing.
yeah, I agree, like, to what Gulshan sir told, that taking feedback, like when we give feedback to someone, they may not take it, accept it, and all. But one thing what I have felt, like when I've made that provision of allowing students to talk to me, voice their thoughts and all, like what I mean, the change what I see is they look at me as like they can talk, they can tell what they want. They feel
Just
that
to
there is somebody who can listen to them. So
exactly.
that gives them that confidence that they can walk up to my cabin and tell me that, ma'am, can I have, can this be done at school? And you won't believe they come up with such wonderful and bright ideas that you
Yeah.
feel like, why didn't I think about this earlier? So that is the impact it makes when we go for feedback.
Exactly.
So
Just
I
to
think
add
it's
on,
very important for it to take feedback.
just to add on this point, I mean, just really it will take few seconds. In order to give feedback, you need to have a certain connection with your audience.
Actually, true.
If you don't have the connect with your audience, you are not supposed to give the feedback. And if you will give the feedback, it will always be taken in a very negative manner. Just to summarize, yeah, Kirti ma'am, I would like to have your views on this. I'm sure the kind of experience.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you short. Carry on, please. You were saying something.
Yeah, I was
Gulshan.
saying something. I would like to have your feedback on this, the feedback and the communication mechanism, because I'm sure that you have invested a lot of time, the active time of your life in education, right?
Definitely.
Yes.
It's more about positive reinforcement.
Hmm.
Feedback has to be very, very positive. Any negative feedback can actually harm the child in a very big way. And sometimes, again, as I believe Sir said about body language, even if the children know, I mean, you may be saying something, positive, but if your body language is not in sync with what you are saying, everybody gets a message.
Exactly.
Your words and your eyes and your body has to speak the same language, and your mind has to kind of then convey it to the people and communicate it to them, because communication channels, again, you can make as many channels as possible, but till the time they're not put to good use, they become useless.
Exactly.
And this positive reinforcement is easier than positive feedback.
Hmm.
You keep telling them that, all right, you can do it. So there is still space. And I mean, these are the ways and methodologies of improvement. So, in fact, not only do you give them a positive feedback, but then you see, overdoing positive feedback also sometimes
Also
makes them
hampers.
overconfident.
So you need to balance out yourself, I believe.
Yes.
Balance
So,
is the key.
yes, and feedback has to be a very balanced kind of a feedback of pros and cons. We usually do it with teachers, when we kind of do a class observation. So we try to do it on the same day. I mean, first of all, a report goes and we tell the teacher that this is what we felt, and then we get their point of view. And then, there are times when we've also realized that teachers may not be doing a certain thing because of a certain reason. So, just as we say, children have moods and mood swings, even they too have it sometimes. So, there could be something in the family, at home, something's bothering them, they're preoccupied or whatever. But at the same time, but the children definitely. A one on one feedback with a child can do wonders for the self esteem and self growth of a child. That's what I feel.
One-to-one feedback is important.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the schools, the progressive schools, they are organizing this one-to-one sessions very often, I believe, isn't it? Because
One tries to, but paucity of time is definitely there. It's very difficult to. So, I mean, either we kind of, sometimes it's done in groups, sometimes it's done individually. It depends. It varies from the situation to situation. It also varies from a child to child. Some children are more receptive and more open to feedback, and some are not. So you have to kind of understand their point of view, their psyche, and that moment for them, their situation for them. And I think after so many years being in the same profession, one can actually realize, you can gauge it.
Exactly. The experience does matter.
Some would react immediately, and some would just quieten down. And the reaction would be very subtle, and it may take a long time to come out. So so they become very quiet on certain days. So you kind of observe a lot. I think observation also plays a very important role in this. When you commute, what you commute, communicate. I'm sorry.
Absolutely
what you
fine.
communicate, when you communicate, what. So that is how it
Absolutely,
works.
absolutely. Anyone would like to share any views on this question so that I can move on to the next one? Just giving five
Yes,
more
I will
seconds.
add with Kirti
Yeah.
ma'am's point. Actually, we say, when employee is going to leave the job, they become quiet. They don't say anything. They don't communicate also. They don't put up their points. So this happens. This is a break of communication over there. Sometimes it happens. So this should not happen with our students. They should come, they should open up, they should say their doubts, they should ask continuously what happened. So there are certain ways, verbal, non-verbal, any communication, any types of talking should be there, conversation should be there. It should not stop anywhere. Otherwise, the progress will happen. Their progress will happen. And even we cannot inbuild them whatever we want to instill. We cannot instill that things. So even if you want to imbibe culture in them, even you want to imbibe something good qualities in them, you have to approach them, and they should also be approachable to you. This is very important.
This approachable thing
Anyway,
is
May I
important.
just kind of
Yeah,
put in
Kirti ma'am,
another thing?
please.
Yeah, just my last thing. I'll have to quit after this, but a little bit. I just wanted to kind of mention that in my previous school that I was working with,
Which
they
school
used
was
to
it,
have a
ma'am?
mentorship program. Okay, the school was step by step.
Okay.
It's I guess
It's
one
in
of the best
Noida.
schools that that's right,
Yes.
132.
Mm-hmm.
So there we used to have a mentorship program
Okay.
where one teacher was assigned 4 or 5 children.
Hmm.
The teachers who were teaching them,
Mm-hmm.
and this depended on the choice of the child, not the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
the children would give their choice as to who they were most comfortable with, and then the seniors would kind of allocate the teachers to them.
Okay.
Those mentors became so close to the students that the children could actually talk their heart out. Personally, also, I have listened to their woes deep into the night just because they wanted somebody to speak to. And after they had left school, whenever they fell into some kind of a problem or anything, they would connect with the mentor first and say, okay, ma'am, can't talk about this to my parents, but may I have a little time of yours? And they would just kind of, and I need some advice, urgent advice
It
on
does
this.
happen.
So this is something, we kind of, it's a very beautiful communication channel, honestly.
Yeah,
And
Gulshan
children
sir.
choose.
It does
Yeah.
happen. It does
Our
happen.
school also there is adoption policy, ma'am. So one teacher adopts 15 students, at least 15 students. So same, whatever you say.
No, we were given only that's the best you can manage.
Yes.
So I think 15 is too much. That is as big as a class. But they
We
do
have to
connect.
come.
Glad to know
Profiling
that
is
schools
good,
are
but
making
the mentor
progress.
actually took care. Yeah, they took
Yes.
care of their progress. If they were, I would keep a track of their report cards and everything as to where they were going down, or the kind of how they were progressing academically, and if they needed anything. So put in a word here that my child, it feels. So you were a mother there. I would say a foster mother in the school. And they
Correct.
would come running to you for everything. And this is, I'm talking about 11 and 12 grades. Grade 12
Exactly.
mainly.
The senior
Because
classes, they
at
require
the end
more.
of the day, if we really look at it, they're only 15, 16-year-old children. We consider them to be in grade 12, very senior. 17-year-old children. And they're babies at heart, honestly. You give them a star and a notebook, and they are just very happy.
Yes.
That communicates enough to them that I've done something great. So that's positive reinforcement.
We all remember the very first start that we got in senior classes. Kirti ma'am, since you are going, I would like to have some ways. Can you please suggest us some ways through which the educators can improve their communication style?
As I said, you see the connect that I'm talking about all this while, and the communication style. Also, the teachers need to be trained sometimes.
This
It
was my
depends on
next
the age
question,
group of the
because
teachers.
normally what happens, ma'am, in school, they do organize a lot of technical training programs when it comes to the organizing from the soft skills programs, because nowadays there are different trainers and those who have different expertise on the respective skill. So this was my next question, that apart from organizing the technical programs, should schools organize this kind of soft skills programs, and how often they should
Definitely.
organize?
Because mental health well-being of the children is something that we really must look at. And that will only happen if they have a good support system. The support system is coming from the teachers. Sometimes, you take on very young teachers on board. They're very active. They're very bright. They bring in a lot of energy into the school. But but their experience may not be as much in handling senior children. So they have to be trained. I'm not saying that they are not capable, but they need a little bit of more training.
Exactly.
So we need to kind of look into that part as well and guide them. And I'm sure these girls are very bright, or gentlemen also, young men, and they form a good rapport with them. But yes, this is something we need to really look at as far as the teacher well-being is concerned. Communication can be in many ways, multiple ways. So instead of giving them one channel, one can open at least 3 or 4 for the students, and maybe 3 and 4 for the parents as well. You can connect with the coordinator, maybe with the headmistress, then with the vice principal. So at least, and the class teacher to begin with, for that matter. The class teacher, the subject teacher, the coordinator. So there has to be a hierarchy which has to be very clear. So if you do not get a defined answer from one, only then do you step over to the next. And that is how things should be. And that is how the children should also be modeled. And their minds should be kind of made to work in such a way that they also feel there's still hope. Like we have our district courts, and then high court, and then the Supreme Court. So in the same way,
The
there's
hierarchy
bound
should
to
be
be some
followed.
here.
I mean,
Yes,
everywhere. So
in
they,
fact, that should be once again communicated properly to them.
of course, yes.
So,
They when you're going to explain the
since,
SOPs, it has to be very
yeah,
clear.
yes,
Thank you, Kirti
yes,
ma'am, for
yes.
sharing your points.
So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. It was lovely being a part of this, and looking forward to more interesting discussions like this in future.
Sure, sure. We will make
Thank
that
you very
group.
much,
Thank you.
panel,
Yeah.
respected panel.
Well,
It was great meeting you all. Thanks.
Thank you,
yeah,
ma'am.
thank you. Yeah, Sarita ma'am, would like to have your point on this. I mean, how often the schools do, I mean, they really organize this kind of sessions when it comes to the, I mean, focusing on the soft skills part, not the technical one. Yes.
Right. Soft skills, when we talk about, as now Kirtiman said, it is very important because soft skills only play the major role, right, in the educators, because this includes creative thinking, soft skills, right? The
Exactly.
leadership
The
in the
critical
leadership
thinking,
educators.
the life skills, the lot of thing, decision making, the lot of thing, time management, stress management. Yes.
So how the educators with the skills, they really need to, organize how they take it, how they manage. So basically, if you see the institution, right? So when you talk about the soft skills, without that the institution cannot run, because whatever comes in is comes within the soft skills, which is built, which is within a individual.
Exactly.
And these kind of skills in a personality, not only the educator, I feel everyone needs to have, which summarizes your work profile, your professionalism. Even due to now, if I talk about the educators, so there are aspects always where the teachers, where the educators need to be patient, right? They need to have a critical thinking. So today's world, if you see, first it was very auto running schools like teacher ne bol diya and things are like
Exactly.
that.
Huh.
But today's world, critical thinking is so important that the teachers, the educators need to be able to, have a best interest into the students, right? If she won't have, it would be difficult for the institution itself, to coordinate with the parents and the kids. While working for the institution, there should be the goals and the standards which has to be maintained through the critical thinking, because would be primary kids, would be secondary students. This is the first aspect what I feel as we educators need to really understand a lot. If suppose there is a classroom and the teacher is having a class, right? Right? Or it would be the principals, we are talking to the parents. One skill is patience, where we need to have. As we were talking about the feedback, right? Like, previously. So it runs everywhere. The feedback when you want to hear, the things you carry on, the teachers need to have patience because there are different variety of the kids in the class. So there are children who are really very much high thought thinking people who really want to discuss more about the things, but the teacher has to be calm to understand this.
So I believe, I mean, we should, I mean, the schools should organize this kind of sessions regularly, because if we
100%
organize
yes.
this kind of session, I mean, once in 6 months, it will not help
No,
them in a very, yes.
I feel quarterly the teachers need to be given the workshops and training for all this, because if you see in the past, like as we have come up as a principal, at our time that was fine to give it in the 6 months, but now as per the generation, what you see, the teachers who are there, the educators who are there, they need a lot of trainings to
Exactly.
have their proper mindset. So this is very, very important.
In the last workshop, in the last webinar also, one of the principal they have raised, she has raised that point that, okay, there is a disease called that I know it all. So
I
again,
know,
we need,
perfect.
yes.
Yes,
So we
yes.
need to shed this thing that I know it all, because every trainer or every person, if that person is coming to any institution, that person is bringing some new ideas, and we should respect, because that is his or her expertise.
Correct.
Prathima ma'am, I would like to have your views on this. How often you organize this kind of training seminars in your school for your educators?
As per the I mean soft skills, like we arrange at least 3 seminars such which
In
are
a year.
placed frequently in a
Okay.
year. So but what I truly believe is, like, after see, when it is a subject or related seminar that we do or a training that we do for the teachers, we have a measure to it. I mean, we can measure it with the results, we can measure it with the way the students are answering. But what happens is when we do this soft skill training, so, it is like the way students feel when we talk to them about it on that day. They feel like, okay, this is something I should be doing, but over a period of time it is forgotten. So
Exactly,
the
it's
same
not,
happens
yeah,
with the
it's
teachers as
very
well.
subjective thing. We cannot measure
Right.
it, like we cannot measure, and it depends upon person to person. I mean, for
True.
you this webinar is a super hit, but for next person is okay, and third person they don't even join. Right,
True.
so it
So
totally.
what I personally believe is, like, we as principals should lead by example in this. Something like, every day when when they see us behaving in this way, or like uh, walking that path of what do I say, proper communication, like soft skills, like we have soft skills
That standard
imbibed in
path that
us,
should be
like,
followed, right?
right. So we have to lead by example and show it to them. Like, it can be done this way also. It is not essential that I only take, like, when a student is not answering my question, being rude to the student, or like asking the student to write it 10 times is not only the solution. Like, there can be n number of ways where it can be done very politely as well. Try to understand why the child did not answer, all these things. So you as a principal, when you can lead by example with respect to the soft skills and show it to the teachers every day, like, this can also be done,
Exactly.
maybe it works better rather than having more number of workshops.
That's wonderful. Yeah, Sarita ma'am, you've raised your point. You've raised your hand, please.
So I would like to add, as
Please.
Prathima ma'am said, communication with the kids. So I would like to just share one example,
Sure,
one
ma'am, please.
incident in my school. So we basically, the school which I work is a minority school, and the kids are from like poor families. Okay,
Okay.
so there are a lot of
Marginalized
family
families.
problems according. So yes, communication where plays role. It just clicked me. There are five. There were five children in 1819, 2018, 19. One of the student from those
1890, you're talking about the year.
2018, 19. I'm
Okay.
speaking about an
2018
incident
90. I thought
about
that
the
1890.
communication. Okay, so he happened to run away with a bag because the teacher scolded in the class.
Okay.
And then I had to understand from my guard, right, that Ashok is running away with the bag. So what is to be done? So proper communication plays so much big role. I called him, he was not coming up. I went down, I got him very pampering him in my cabin. I made him sit. Trust me, that child was not ready to sit and study in the school, and he wanted to leave the school. Today he is in junior college. Ashok, his name is. One to one talking, really to listening them, really does wonders in a child's life. This is what I really as a principal understand. So this is
That's
what I
wonderful.
wanted to
That
just
that's
share.
that's wonderful, ma'am. That's wonderful. Shilpa ma'am, can you are you here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Your video is not here. Can you switch on your
Yeah.
video? Yeah. So
Yeah.
you, I mean, being the principal, I mean, what's your take on this, and how often that you organize the in-house sessions or the experts from outside? Any views on this?
Yeah, as Sarita ma'am said, I will also add some points. It's very important. Students should come and tell you what their problems are, so that you can remove their hurdles and communication will take place. So even I was having one student. He was from film background, and his hair were curly hair and long hair. He was having. So one sir was there, economics sir, and he was teasing him like anything, and the student was not ready to sit in his class. So once he met me, I asked him so many questions regarding all his studies and what going on and why he doesn't want to attend his class and all. Then he opened up and he said, "मुझे अच्छे नहीं लगते वो सर." So I asked why, but वो मुझे हमेशा बोलते रहते हैं मेरे बाल काटो, गंदे लगते, जंगली लगते हो. So जंगली word he was using. So that student was actually depressed because of that word. क्या मैं जंगली लगता हूँ? मैं कितना अच्छा हूँ, इसीलिए तो फिल्म में जाता हूँ बोले. So then
There are
I
different views.
consulted teacher, particular teacher, and the communication established in them. And now he has progressed and he has graduated now from the same college with
That's
the same
wonderful.
sir. So these things happen, sir. So communication should not stop anywhere. It should
That's
go on.
wonderful.
And for communication in our school now, we have linked a channel, connect channel with the parents and students. So whatever they want to convey, they can convey on that channel. First, the message goes to the teacher, and teacher has to give the solution on the same channel. And the principals are reading those communications. And even whatever problem teacher cannot solve, principals can solve. And even we are doing one-to-one sessions with the parents if the problem is serious. So this type of channels we should increase so that the communication will increase.
That's
And
wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful, everyone. So now we're going to have a rapid fire round, which we normally do at the end of the webinar. Okay, so now on this topic, that how to master the art of communication. So I'm sure that you guys also have worked a lot on yourself, and still you guys are working, right? So you need to give me one by one the thing that you are going to improve your communication or your personality on your daily basis. Okay, so I'm talking about you, not to anyone, to you, that what you do on your daily basis to improve your communication style, right? So it's not just the communication, what you do on your daily basis to add to something to your personality. Okay, I'm giving you 20 seconds to think about it. So you need to give me only one thing within 5 seconds, okay, that I do this thing. Through this, it will actually helping me to improve my communication style. Paresh, are you with us?
I am with you. I got the question.
You're listening us patiently, sir. Your listening has
I'm
improved
actually
drastically.
Absolutely. For a change, this time I'm listening because I'm at this point. I'm enjoying
But
this
sir,
time listening part.
heads off to your dedication, sir. You're not looking at the valleys of Lonavala. You're looking at us.
Yes. It's all about what you are into at this point of time. You have to be into it.
Sir, priority settled है आपकी.
हाँ, बिल्कुल सही है.
चलिए, let's start our rapid fire round and we'll start with Prathima ma'am.
So one thing what I do, like
Yes,
it's
yes.
the same question that I have to answer,
Yes,
right?
yes, of course, yes. Huh.
Okay. So I constantly tell myself that I have to accept people the way they are and I have to be happy. So
Wonderful.
that's like I have to respect them.
Wonderful.
These are the things I do every day, and I'm seeing a difference in myself as well. The way I was 2 years ago and the way I am now. So
Perfect.
that's
I'll come
helping
back
me
to
improve
you.
my communication.
I'll come back to you once I finish it off. Then again, one more thing that you do on your daily basis. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
Sarita ma'am, one thing that you do.
So, yes, that if I add knowledge to my educators, I need to have some learning for me as well.
Of course,
That is
yes.
how I look ahead and my kids.
Okay.
So, which is the practice I would like to always do.
Okay. So you add which way? Like you read books or you watch some YouTubes or
No, I am trying to say you that if I, being a principal of the school, and I want to convey any, as you said, what will you do for the better communication?
yes.
So, if we are intellectual and we want to be a good listener and attract the interest of the students' audience, I would always say this, that it should be a adding knowledge for them as well as for us also. So, this will always be a practice.
Wonderful.
So, where they also learn and we also keep enhancing and learning through them.
Perfect. Vikas sir, one thing that you do.
Actually, I'm into counseling, so मेरा तो डेली का काम है different brains को पढ़ना, तो उससे ही काफी चीजें improve हो जाती हैं.
मतलब दूसरों का ही आप सारी चीजें सुनते रहते हैं और एडिशन करते रहते हैं. हाँ.
yes. और different brains को पढ़ता है तो बहुत interesting भी होता है कि हाँ जब वो पूरी report को study करना होता है तो it's really interesting.
So you must
Actually,
have heard.
communication is based on the brain only actually.
Hmm.
Communication किसको कौन सा communication समझ में आएगा? That is dependent on the brain.
Just to add some humor sir on your part, you really much inspired by this song. किताबें बहुत सी पढ़ी होंगी तुमने. Jokes apart, sir, it was a very bad joke on my part. I'm very sorry, but I had to do. I mean, being the moderator, I had to have the smile on your face. That's why. Yeah, Shilpa ma'am, one thing that you do on daily basis to improve yourself.
Yes, sir. Now the social media is very important tool to communicate, and I'm very bad in that. So I will start improving my.
So you will start improving. So you
Yeah.
think that okay, you need to be more active on social
Yeah,
media.
So that I can
One
reach
thing.
them, I can collaborate with my student in my within my workplace.
Wonderful, wonderful.
That I
Best,
can
best
do.
wishes. If you need any help, please contact me.
Certainly, certainly, sir.
Paresh sir, one thing that you do.
I already started doing it. Is basically listening beyond the point what the person trying to say.
अच्छा, मतलब
Listening
उसके
beyond
अंदर की
what
बात
the
भी आप
person
जानने
is
की
trying to
कोशिश
say.
करते हैं.
So, if somebody is trying to say something, there is a purpose behind it. What's the purpose of, what is the person trying to say? Because, always there are primary emotions and there are secondary emotions. So trying understanding the secondary emotions behind that particular statement is what I try and do.
It's wonderful, sir. That's a very thoughtful thing. Even I'm thinking about why you said this.
Secondary thinking.
I'll have a, I'll have a separate chat with you on this.
Thank you so much. Okay, coming back to again, yeah, Prathima ma'am, next thing. One thing that additionally that you do on your daily basis to improve yourself.
Yes, I read. I ensure that I read. I listen to Audible. I mean, multiple ways of reading. Audible, Kindle, then physical books.
One thing,
That
one
helps.
book that you suggest to us, I mean to read.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay, great, sir. Great. Thank you. Yeah, Sarita ma'am, one thing that you do on daily basis to improve yourself.
So I'm also a book reader, a book lover.
Okay, so you read
So
books.
yes,
There's no
100%
substitute
yes.
of reading books.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Vikas sir, coming back to you.
अभी भी रिसेंटली जयशंकर जी को सुनना शुरू किया है, जो
अच्छा.
अपने फॉरेन मिनिस्टर हैं, तो उनकी कम्युनिकेशन स्किल मुझे बहुत इम्प्रेस करती है. है ना? तो
जयशंकर रमेश.
उनको जरूर. हाँ, जयशंकर रमेश.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, Shilpa ma'am, one more thing that you do.
Same, sir. Social media to hai, but listening.
अच्छा.
Listening is also very important. So listening capacity should be increased, I think. That is very low in me. So I have to start with.
Ma'am, look at the positive part. You're only looking at the negative things. Please connect with Vikas sir. Please connect with Vikas sir. I'm telling you, he's a very good mind trainer and he will tell you a lot of things so that you will
Yes,
start
yes,
looking at the
sir.
positive things. Ma'am, you're the principal, you're the
My
leader,
pleasure.
you have a lot of
Anytime,
positive
anytime.
things in you. Paresh sir, we're coming back to you. One more suggestion from your side.
I think reading is like everybody said, because reading the right book is very important. And at this point of time, I'm basically reading Dr. Joseph Murphy's book, The Power of Subconscious Mind.
I also, even I have it. I started that book,
it's
but again,
amazing
it took me a lot of time to understand what was there. So I
Yeah,
just
it
closed
takes
it.
a lot of time.
Yes.
And the good story is Dr. Joseph Murphy looks a lot into the Indian way of thinking, also Hindu way of purpose. That's what he has done across in this case. So it's an amazing book. As you keep on reading the book, it starts getting onto you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, there's one more session. It will only take 5 minutes for everyone. So, I'm sure, we will upload this webinar on YouTube and a lot of educators will definitely listen this webinar. So, one suggestion for the educators. In short and crisp, I'll give you 10 seconds to think forward and just want you guys to give one suggestion to the educators. Those who are in the process of becoming an educator and those who are an educator right now. So 10 seconds, I'll start with the same way. Prathima ma'am, Sarita ma'am, Vikas sir, Shilpa ma'am, and then Paresh sir.
I believe educators should focus on the happiness quotient of students. So that's very important.
Noted. Yeah, Sarita ma'am.
I believe the educators need to be very positive and good to be approachable, which will help each and every child of the school and even the parents.
Wonderful, wonderful. Vikas sir.
Every student is a different student. Every brain is a different brain. So add some more humor in your classes so that you can connect with each and every person. क्योंकि humor एक ऐसा है जो सबके बीच में common है.
Wonderful. Shilpa ma'am.
Yes, I will say encourage their communication and empower them to talk a lot so that they can share their views with the colleagues and all. This is very important. So you will have to encourage them to speak, to come up with the thoughts.
Wonderful, wonderful. Paresh sir, one suggestion.
I think adaptability, as per the child, is what I would say across, because every child is different. So adapting to those child, of course, in a class, the educator has to look after multiple children, but trying and seeing what is the extent of adaptability that an educator can get done. Adapt to every child's requirement is what I would say across.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, thank you everyone for sharing your wonderful knowledge and wonderful wisdom. I'm sure all the listeners who will listen to this webinar, they will add a lot of points, and in between they'll also laugh to the point that we have made, especially the songs. So, thank you everyone. On the behalf of Inspiredvalley, we thank you everyone for becoming the part of this webinar and making this a huge
Thank you
success.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.